Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Welcome to Eagle Community Television, our community connected. Thanks for watching. Today at historic Fort Hays on the 183 bypass, a visit with Superintendent of Historic Fort Hays, Bob Wilhelm, as we talk about the fort and talk about places to stop for your summertime destinations. Particularly if you happen to be in one of the motels in the area and looking for some things to do, this is a great stop to make. Historic Fort Hays on the 183 bypass. And first, Bob, I guess we better say when you're open and what admission charges.
Yes, we're open 9 to 5 Tuesday through Saturday, and we are closed Sundays and Mondays. But the grounds stay open even after hours, and we do have some brochures and things out front that if you come by after we're closed or on one of those days we're closed, you can pick up a brochure. We've got 21 interpretive signs around the grounds, so you can get a good history of the fort just by walking around and reading the signs.
If it's been a while since you visited the fort, I like what you've done with the place. Boy, talk about a new look.
Yeah, it really is, and it's needed this kind of a makeover for quite some time. And we were about a year and a half ago. We had a big grant, got a big grant, and completely redid the visitor center, which we're sitting in now in front of General Custer and his first sergeant here. And what I think is most exciting is the guardhouse has been set up with exhibits that talk about the enlisted man, and we've never really had that before here to any great extent. And so it talks about the enlisted man's life, what they did during their off time, how they went about their daily activities, and some of the more exciting things that happened out at the fort. And then the blockhouse, being the headquarters building, talks about some of the commanding officers. And Fort Hays has been in several movies, been mentioned in several movies. Of course, probably most familiar is Dances with Wolves, but there was a movie, in fact, I just saw it on TV the other day, called The Plainsman with Gary Cooper, and it talks about Fort Hays, and it's a 1930s movie that doesn't have a lot of historical fact is not exactly accurate. For instance, they have General Custer in command of the fort and things like that. But it's an exciting movie, and it got our name out there, and that's what's important.
That's really the because you saw an uptick when Dances with Wolves came out. You saw an uptick in interest as well as
we had the most visitation we've ever had after that movie premiered. 60,000 people we had come through that year. And then it slowly dropped off to normal, and then there was a little spike when it came out on video, and another spike when it came out on TV. So,
as I told you one time, I think, Bob, there was a reference to in that Jeff Bridges movie, Wild Bill, with Historic Fort Hays as well.
Fact,
if you haven't rented that one.
They depict an incident which, in Wild Bill's life, has come to be kind of a significant thing. It was published in a dime novel, and just like the movies, the dime novels of the period really embellished things quite a bit. Imagine that. It was the case where Wild Bill got into some had some issues with some of the 7th Cavalry troopers, and a couple of them tried to kill him. And in fact, he came very close to being killed here rather than in Deadwood. But so it's an exciting scene from the movie. So,
well, from the beginning, what was the purpose of Historic Fort Hays, Bob?
Well, Fort Hays was here to establish, or it was established to protect railroad workers initially. And if you go back even further than that to Fort Fletcher, the forerunner of Fort Hays, it was here to protect people using the Smoky Hill Trail. And a lot of people probably haven't heard of the Smoky Hill Trail, but it was a very important trail for a brief period of time that went across Kansas out to Denver, and it was important because it saved about 2 weeks on the journey. You didn't have to go south and take on the Santa Fe Trail and take the cutoff and go to Denver, or up along the Platte River Road up north. You went straight across the state. But the only problem was there were fewer areas of defense as you got west. There weren't any other forts out past Fort Harker. Over by Ellsworth. And so they established Fort Hays and later Fort Wallace to protect people using that trail. And then when they established it here at this site in 1867, it was here because the railroad was coming through. The railroad was essentially following the Smoky Hill Trail, deviated a little, but basically following that. And if you're traveling and you're driving down the interstate, you're basically traveling that same old trail. The interstate followed the railroad, which was followed the Smoky Hill Trail. So,
and didn't you mention at one time that there are even indentations of the wagon ruts in some of those areas?
Along the Smoky Hill Trail, yeah. And too, there was an important military supply road that ran from Hayes down to Dodge. And it was used not only by military but civilian freight traffic as well. And so there are a lot of wagon ruts that you can see.
But the fort in operation itself was rather a short amount of time, wasn't it?
Well, yeah, it was kind of medium-lived, really. If you look at a lot of these forts, they were put up out at the frontier where they were needed. And then as white civilization caught up to it, they didn't need the fort anymore, so they closed it and essentially moved it out to the edge of the frontier again. So it kind of the forts kind of hopscotched their way across the continent.
I know that it was difficult to get numbers, but because of scouts and such as that, and people that came for a short period of time.
Right.
Tell me about troop numbers, though. Any definitive number?
Well, not really. There are several thousand troops, but like you say, a company might be stationed here, or most of a regiment might be here, but not necessarily all the men in that unit. So, but there were several thousand here, both infantry and cavalry troops. A lot of people, because of the movies, think that all the soldiers out west were cavalry soldiers, but there were a lot of infantry troops out west, probably more infantry troops actually than cavalry. So there were several thousand here, and it was a pretty important fort while it lasted.
Well, now, you've touched on a few of the things, but whet our appetite a little bit about some of the things we'll see, because you've mentioned some of the displays, and of course the visitor center now is just outstanding.
Yeah,
and then you can go to the individual remaining parts of the fort.
Right, we've got 2 officers' homes, which we have interpreted to show different aspects of the officers' lives out at these forts out west, not just Fort Hayes, but all these forts. And then the guardhouse talks about the enlisted men, and the blockhouse, the officers. And we've even got things around the grounds that kind of hopefully connect people to the fact that this is just not a collection of buildings. This is where people lived, and we've got these silhouettes up, and they really do add something to the experience when you come out here.
Well, and for visitors who don't have a unique history of it, even things like the flagpole itself can be an entire learning experience, I think.
Yeah,
you know?
The flagpole was, the flag was the central defining image of a fort. You had this big, tall, mast type of flagpole. Ours is about 85 feet tall. They ranged anywhere from 60 to 100 feet, and they flew these great, huge flags on them. And they were sort of not only denoting where the fort was, but they were also kind of little lighthouses out there, because a lot of soldiers, when they would go out into the field, they would get lost pretty easy. I mean, there aren't any roads out there to let you know where you didn't have GPS or any of that kind of stuff. And so you're out there, and you got to keep track of what direction you're headed and how far you're going and all that kind of stuff. And when you're going over hills and around things, and it's pretty easy to get lost. And so you basically know which way north is, for instance, if you're south of the fort. So you just go until you hopefully see that big flag out there, and you can
kind
locate
of a beacon
the fort.
there.
Yeah.
You mentioned the grant, which helped to make all of this possible, or a great part of this possible. But you also have an organization which really supports the fort. And if you're thinking about getting involved in history in many different areas, the Friends of Historic Fort Hayes is an excellent way to do that.
Absolutely. Not only we're run by the Kansas Historical Society, and people can become members of the Kansas Historical Society as well, but the Society of Friends of Historic Fort Hayes deals just with Fort Hayes. And so that's a way that you can help out the fort, you can support the fort, and at the same time get kind of the behind the scenes sort of information. We've got a newsletter that goes out that has all sorts of interesting articles in it about things that happened here at Fort Hays and things that people used here at Fort Hays, and we've just had a real interesting series of articles the last few issues talking about things that were found down along the Smoky Hill Trail, which was kind of interesting. But the Friends also, they are a fundraising arm as well. And before we have to call this quits here, I want to tell you about a new program that we have coming up this summer. If you're in town on June 8th, this is the first of our programs that we will have. It's called Campfire Tales, and we're going to have a man named David Zerfus. He goes by the stage name of Zerf, and he is a singer and storyteller, and he has written a lot of songs that deal with events and activities that took place right out here in western Kansas, talking about Custer and Roman Nose and Hickok and these sorts of things. And we're going to sit around a campfire, providing the weather's okay, and he's going to sing some songs and tell some stories. And we have a really good chef in town, Rita Stramel, who is, if you're staying at the T Rose Inn, she's your proprietress there. And she's an excellent cook, and she's going to come out and prepare not full meals or anything like that, but just snacks, things to go along with what we're doing. And it'll all be outside, and it's only $5 per person. And so we're doing that in June, and I don't have the dates here with me. There's one in August and one in July and one in August. I think it's 17th of July and 19th of August, I think.
So about like one a month.
But check with us if you're in town.
Yeah, you can always call the Visitor Center.
And call us at 625-6812 and or check our website at www.kshs.org/Fort Hays, historic Fort Hays, and you get all the information.
Well, and of course we have to, it goes without saying, we have to mention the big July 4th celebration, which has become a huge event every year.
It has. We have a free goodwill offering picnic of hot dogs and chips and something cold to drink. And we have something that's really become almost a tradition with us here on July 4th. We have the Hays City Summer Band, and they're excellent group of folks, and it's just composed of community members who enjoy playing music, and they play a whole repertoire of not only patriotic music but other music as well. And it's all outside. Bring your own lawn chairs or blankets. And it's on July 4th, and it all starts at 6 o'clock with the picnic, the band concert shortly after that. It lasts, the picnic and the band concert, an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. But it's a lot of fun. It's like I said, it's just a free will offering. If you don't have anything to give, that's fine. It's hot, but it's nothing fancy. It's just hot dogs and chips and things. And then the fireworks in town, the big fireworks that are set off by the Wild West Festival, they set them off right across the street, right across the road. So there ain't a bad seat in the house, folks. You can just come out and sit down and watch the fireworks afterwards. So it's a lot of fun. Finally,
Bob, once again, for your hours and admission at Historic Fort Hays?
Yes, open 9 to 5, Tuesday through Saturday, and admission is $5 for adults and $1 for students.
Historic Fort Hays and Superintendent Bob Wilhelm. How many years now at Fort?
28.
Almost caught him off guard with that one. 28 now. And knowledge and fun and history all wrapped up into one visit at Historic Fort Hays on the 183 bypass. That's our community connection from Eagle Community Television. Our producer, Jeff Durall, thanks for watching.